a super fun, awesome video. I'm about to burp cheese in your face.
Hey everyone, Hillary and Sarah here. You may wonder why we're laying on this kitchen island.
I don't think they are.
Well, I'll tell ya. This bad boy's getting a makeover.
Woo-woo! You guys have been asking for a paint sprayer video. Well, today's your lucky day.
Woo-woo! Give me 5. If you like this video while you're watching, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell, so you never miss an upload. I'm really excited to tell you about the paint sprayer that we're using on this island today. It's one of my favorite tools.
Speaking of tools, we have a video coming up next week where we share all of our DIY must-haves with you.
Tune in next week.
How are we gonna roll off of this?
Like this. Ready, go!
Oh my gosh, I'm pregnant.
Hillary's been wanting to throw an accent color on her kitchen island for a while now, and this island makeover is one of the many little changes she plans to make in her kitchen over the next few months. So here's what the island is looking like right now.
So I picked up these two samples in the colors that I narrowed it down to, and they're just $5, and it made it easy to come home and just paint a swatch in a couple different areas on the island so I could see these throughout the day and the night, see how they changed in the light, live with it for a day or two, and make my final decision. It's still a really tough decision. I love this at night. I love this during the day. So, thanks to you guys and your help with our Instagram poll at The Dishonest Truth, Sage Gray was the popular vote. That's the one I was leaning towards, so that's what I'm gonna go ahead and go with. Let's go to Home Depot.
Okay, so before we go into Home Depot, I just want to say this. The most important part of using a paint sprayer is actually the prep work. The paint spraying actually goes really, really fast. If you learn nothing else from this video, it is do your prep work and do it really, really well. Let's go!
The first thing we picked up is this tape and plastic combo. You'll see later in the video why this stuff is awesome. We also grabbed a water-based primer. This particular brand is great for cabinetry and works with airless sprayers. We grabbed paper to cover and protect the floor. You can use plastic or a drop cloth, but I prefer how precise I can get with this paper and how thick it is. This 2-inch painter's tape will also come in handy. Another important step is degreasing and cleaning the cabinetry, so this TSP is perfect for that. This tack cloth is also important, and of course, here's a quick shot of the paint sprayer we'll be working with. Now, onto the actual prep work. Like I said, this part is important, and while it seems tedious, it can make or break your experience with paint spraying. One of the things I love most about this sprayer is that it actually doesn't have a ton of overspray, but on this project we decided to be extra precise and give you guys some prep work tips. After we covered the floor with paper, Hillary removed the pulls off the door and drawer fronts and then removed the drawers. She also removed the actual door and drawer fronts because those are getting painted. We aren't spraying the inside of the island cabinetry, but these drawer guides were in the way of where we need to tape off, so I removed those as well.
Okay, so I took these off, but I am going to paint these because I don't want them to be white against my color.
Make sure you keep track of every little screw and hinge and hardware you remove so that when you go to put everything back together, you know exactly what goes where. We used Ziploc baggies for this and it worked great. After all the hardware was removed, Hillary wiped all the cabinetry down using the TSP and water mixture and a rag, following the mixing instructions on the back of the box, wearing gloves, and rinsing it thoroughly. After she rinsed off the TSP from the cabinets, I started taping off the areas that won't be painted. I used the painter's tape to go around the perimeter of the door and drawer fronts, leaving the face frame exposed. You can use this plastic and tape combo by itself, but I like to be precise with the tape first, and then add the plastic less precisely because it can be slightly tricky to work with compared to the tape itself. I wrapped it around all 4 sides, opened the plastic, and gathered it in the middle to seal off the opening. So Hillary's adding plastic all over
to protect the cupboards. And I was like, of course I need to tape over here to protect the cupboards.
But this is the one we're painting. Whoops. We added plastic all around the room where we thought it was even remotely possible that a fleck of paint might land. Again, this might be slightly excessive, but if you want to be thorough, this is one way to do it.
So I've washed my cupboards with my TSP and then rinsed them off, and now I am ready to sand them with my 220 grit sandpaper, and then I'll wipe them down with my tack cloth. I don't have to sand these too much. I'm just giving this a rough sanding just so that my primer will grip to my cupboards.
We ended up sanding off the paint samples, but it's totally not necessary. We just wanted to show you guys a perfectly clean slate. Hillary also used tack cloth over the whole island to make sure that she got every speck of dust off before we started the paint process. Now onto the paint sprayer. First and foremost, this is how I use the sprayer. This is not sponsored by Graco, and you should absolutely read the product manual before you begin your own project. There's lots of tutorials right here on YouTube. I have the electric version of this sprayer, but it comes in a battery-powered option as well. Here are the basic elements of the sprayer and what you're going to want to know about it. This is the prime and spray knob, the spray tip guard that rotates 360 degrees, the strainer that keeps the gun from clogging, the variable speed control, the flex liner and cup support that holds the paint, the cup cover and vacuum valve, and the spray tip. I use the 4-inch tip on small projects like this and the 12-inch when I'm spraying walls. First, place the flex liner inside the cup support and fill it with primer or paint of your choice. Then you'll want to securely tighten the cup cover onto the support cup and make sure to tighten it so that the arrow on the cup cover is within range of this indicator on the side of the cup support. Make sure your desired spray tip is also inserted and turned to the off position just like this. Then attach the gun to the cup cover by aligning the vacuum valve on the left side of the gun with the prime pump spray knob. Push the cup assembly onto the sprayer and twist it to lock it. Open the vacuum valve cap and tilt the sprayer so that the vacuum valve is at the highest point, causing any air in the flex liner to rise to the vacuum valve. Gently squeeze the flex liner to evacuate all the air through the vacuum valve air hole, and once you see your primer or paint coming through the vacuum valve reservoir, all the air should be out of the flex liner, so stop squeezing and snap the cap closed. You'll hear the cap click when it's closed correctly. Plug your sprayer into a power source and turn the prime pump spray knob down to the prime position. To fill the sprayer with the primer or paint, point the sprayer into a waste area, I'm using a box here, and hold the trigger for 5 to 10 seconds. At this point, it's possible air might enter the flex liner, so I repeat the squeeze step one more time just to make sure all the air is out completely. Turn the prime pump spray knob forward to the spray position and then turn the spray tip forward to the spray position. I always do a test spray to make sure the gun is functioning properly, and if you're entirely new to paint spraying, find something to test spray and just go crazy with it. Here we go again. You absolutely don't need these paint suits if you plan to do this yourself, but we are extra, real extra. We spent 5 to 10 minutes being ridiculous and really feel like playing and being ridiculous is such an important part of DIY. If you're not having fun, why are you doing this in the first place, right? To start spraying, double check that your variable speed control dial is turned down to 1 to 5. This allows you to control the speed that the paint comes out of the gun, and if you're just starting out, you'll have more control and less overspray if you start at a lower speed. Start by pulling the trigger while aiming off the project, and then complete your first pass by releasing the trigger after you're off your project. Do smooth and well-timed passes, and don't slow down or speed up too much or you'll get drips or skips in the paint. The real key here is to do light, even coats. Less is more, people. I'm not a professional by any means, so please use the video at your own discretion. This is my technique and how it works for me on my projects, but really get the sprayer in your hands and try it for yourself and find the technique that works for you.
Just make sure that you're watching the extension cord and that you don't let it touch the areas that you've already painted.
I do all the corners and cracks first, and then I go and fill in the gaps. I aim the sprayer at the bottom edge of the previous stroke, overlapping each stroke by about half. I also rotate the gun or the spray tip guard depending on the orientation of the pass I'm doing. Hopefully you can tell in the video what I mean. If you run out of paint while you're working on your project, just simply separate the cup support from the sprayer and refill the flex liner cup and prime the sprayer just as I showed you before.
One thing I forgot to mention while we were prepping is all of the hardware in my kitchen is going to be getting a refresh, so make sure you're subscribed to our channel so you guys don't miss that.
To spray the door and drawer fronts, we laid them in the garage outside on a plastic tarp using these little spray paint tripods. I love these things and use them all the time. They make all my spray paint projects a piece of cake. I'll link them along with everything else we use in the description box below. We placed the drawer and door on top of the tripods and began spraying, starting with the outside edges first, allowing the few inches of overspray to act as the light top coat everywhere else, and then filling in the gap with one more pass. We also gave a light coat to the outlet cover. While you're waiting for primer or paint to dry before doing a second coat, it's okay to leave the paint in the gun as long as your spray tip is turned into the off position and the prime spray knob is in the prime position. If you happen to get a clog, rotate the spray tip backward like this, pull the trigger for a few seconds to clear the clog, and then face it forward again to resume spraying. While we wait for the primer to dry, I'll leave it in the off position.
Okay, this primer takes about an hour to dry, so while that's drying, Sarah's gonna teach you guys how to clean the gun, and I'm gonna maybe paint some areas that need a little more primer.
Use this process every time you finish a project or when you're switching colors or material, and it's so important to make sure your sprayer is clean before you store it. Don't be lazy about this part. Take care of your sprayer and it'll last a good long time. Unplug the paint sprayer and turn the knob to prime and the spray tip to the off position. Release the cup holder and set the sprayer upside down on a flat surface. I always do this process in the sink, but you can do it near a hose outside as well. Return all your unused paint or material to the original container and rinse off the cup holder lid and the vacuum valve. You can reuse these flex liner cups or toss them, but I like to reuse them several times. Remove the strainer piece and rinse it and the sprayer opening as well, then replace it back on the sprayer. Fill the cup with water and replace the lid and the vacuum valve and attach it to the sprayer. Turn the knob to prime and the speed control dial up to 10. Then, plug in the sprayer and turn the whole thing upside down and pull the trigger for a few seconds. This cycles water through the whole system and begins to clean the sprayer. I repeat this process a few times and then I fill it once or twice more and turn the knob to spray and let the water run through the sprayer a couple times. You can also remove the spray tip and clean it as well. Once the water in the sprayer is running clear, the sprayer is clean and I leave it to dry or I wipe it with a dry cloth. Now that the primer is dry, it's time to paint. We chose bare alkyd paint that is great for cabinetry and doesn't need to be thinned. I filled the sprayer the same way as I did before and did a super light and even coat over the whole island and the drawers and door in the garage, same way as before.
Good morning! It's day 2. We've let the island dry overnight and the drawer fronts and the cabinet door outside in the garage is on its second coat. We're going to do a second coat on the island, maybe take a nap.
A much needed nap.
And the next footage you'll see is probably the final reveal.
Cheers.
Cheers to a second coat.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's do it.
You look amazing.
I feel amazing.
Okay.
I look amazing.
I look amazing. Okay, let's do this. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I flipped over the drawers and door out in the garage to prep them for one final date with the paint sprayer and gave them all a light coat, same as before. In total, I think we did 2 coats on everything of both the primer and the paint, and we let them dry and cure for a couple days before putting everything back together. We removed all the tape and plastic and Hillary reattached the hardware and hinges and pulls. And here it is, all finished. What do you guys think? Hillary loves the addition of the little bit of color to her kitchen, and I can't wait to see the updated poles and the other things she has planned for the space. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those videos. Let us know in the comments below if you're going to try out paint spraying and what project you plan to do. We'd love to hear about it. Thanks again for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week.